Good evening, folks. Welcome to the September 15, 2015 Selectmen's meeting in the Selectmen's Chamber at Town Hall. May I call the meeting to order and have a roll call, please?
Carolyn Smart, present.
Gordon Clark, present. At this time, will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will announce at this time that the meeting is being tape recorded. Chairman's additions or deletions. We're going to amend 2.1 to change it to Interim Chief Robert A. Demora, and then we're going to delete 2.3. At this time, we're still waiting for people, so Andy, can we have your updates and reports, please?
Sure, I'll try to be quick here, just a couple of items. The Department of Revenue was out today as part of their first trip as part of the DPW study that they're doing. Two of the analysts from the DOR came out, met with a number of department heads and board and committee members, and obviously with both selectmen. So they've got some additional phone calls to conduct with other people that were not available today, and they'll be working on this. I expect it'll be several months before we see anything from them. We've talked a couple of times in the past about Route 13 North, the section roughly from Dudley Road, from the police station up to the Brookline town line, up to the state line. Ed Kukla had been working and getting some design work done, and under the Mass Highway, Mass DOT project manual, there are various types of projects. Some are easier, some are more complex than others. And we were trying to do this Route 13 project as one of these easy projects known as a book job. Unfortunately, the Mass Highway, Mass DOT has changed their rules, and it looks now like we'll not be able to move this project forward as a book job. So it has a couple of negative effects for us. One, it's going to cost us more. It's going to require more engineering and survey work. Ed is working with Mass Highway and Weston and Sampson, our engineers, on exactly what the scope of the project will be, and to get a new cost estimate for the design work. It's also likely to end up costing, the design will cost more, the construction will cost more, which we expect will still be picked up by the state. But perhaps the worst part of it all is it's likely to delay the project. And he's been working on this for a couple of years. It's a slow, tedious process, even under the smaller book job approach. And I think we would have been hard-pressed to get Route 13 paved next year, in 2016. I would say that optimistically would be looking now at 2017 if this is the approach that we have to take. So it's very disappointing news, and it's affecting projects. It's not specific to Townsend, it's affecting projects throughout the state. So just want to give the board and the public a heads up on that, and we'll keep you informed as we know more. Like I said, Ed is working with the DOT and with Weston and Sampson on that. So, and
I'm sorry, on that issue, I know that you've been working with Ed and Weston and Sampson. We had the plans about 75% done, so all that work isn't going to be able to...
Some of it will still carry over to the full project. It's part of the change in the design manual that calls for healthy streets. I think they call it healthy streets. It includes wider shoulders, bike lanes, things like that. We were trying to do the minimal design, which essentially is stay within the footprint of the current pavement. Once you get beyond the footprint of the pavement, then you get into a more elaborate time-consuming approach. And so that's what this Healthy Streets Initiative kicks us into.
So Townsend wasn't up to date on the change of the DOT rules?
I don't know how the, we were led to believe pretty much all the way along that we could do this as a book job.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were, I think initially they were sort of grandfathering projects that were in the queue, and for whatever reason, that appears not to be the case anymore.
That would make sense, because I would think that Townsend, since they do this consulting work, would have said, hey, you guys can't do that.
Yeah, and we've been working on this, I think, since 2012, I think we had a meeting out there, so.
And I know it's been on the tip list every other year. And
yeah.
that's just too bad. I hope they can use a lot of the preliminary work that they've already done for the new design.
Yeah, I think they will.
Wasted our money.
I think they will, because most of the work to date has been survey work, and they'll need that anyways.
Well, that's unfortunate. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And just so the board knows, I'm going to be filing with the Finance Committee for a modest reserve fund transfer. If you recall back through the budget process back in the spring, we scaled back our property casualty and liability insurance budget. We started out at at 263,000 and change initially, and we scaled it back. We scaled back in a lot of places in order to balance the budget. We scaled back a total of $53,000 to 210, and 210 is not enough to cover our insurance costs for the year. So I was planning to go to town meeting and ask for additional funds to cover the gap. With town meeting being pushed off and with a couple of bills that came in recently, we really can't afford to wait until December. So as a stopgap interim measure, I'm going to go to the Finance Committee and ask for about $2,000 just to carry us through until the town meeting.
Is that our workers' comp audit that's come in?
No, the costs on this are some of it's just our normal costs. It's all for fiscal 16. We also have the Treasurer Collector's Bond, which doesn't renew in June or in July, comes in August, and some new equipment that went on that we weren't planning on.
Okay.
So the audit is done. We haven't got the results yet from the auditor what the additional premium will be.
Okay. Do you think that 2,000 will cover the additional premium too?
Well, we carried over funds from last year to pay for that additional premium. So I think we'll be okay. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Carol?
I just have a quick announcement here. This is from Alice Struthers. It says, all invited to stop by the Townsend Historical Society's 34th Annual Arts and Craft Fair on September 19th and 20th, Saturday and Sunday on the Townsend Common. The event showcases the best works of local artisans along with food and live musical performances. The fair will be held rain or shine. I just had a few updates, but in light of all the folks coming in, do you want to do ours at the end?
If that'd be all right.
Yeah, that would be fine with me.
Right.
So you want to table the Board of Selectmen's updates and reports till the end of the meeting?
Okay, absolutely. At this time, we're going to move to 2.1. And first of all, we'd like to recognize all those who are here in attendance who serve us every day, and we appreciate your presence. So though we don't have to disrupt everyone, we're going to go into executive session into the outer chamber, and so you can we'll come right back quickly that way. Okay, so make it more user-friendly. All right, so can we have a motion, please, for
Yes,
that?
Mr. Chair. I would like to make a motion that we enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct contract negotiations with your non-union personnel and to reconvene in open session.
The motion's been seconded and moved. All in favor?
Roll call. It's Carolyn Smart, yes.
Gordon Clark, yes. At this time, folks, we'll try to be back as quick as we can and just roll back in. Welcome back, folks. We're reconvening the Selectmen's meeting of September 15th, 2015 at 6:20. At this time, we will be going to 2.1, review and sign contract with Interim Chief Robert A. Demora. The board's already just came out of executive session. Before I start, I'd just like to take a second, because this is a very important day in our community, I want to recognize Irving Marshall's 38 years. And if we see them, we should all take an opportunity to thank him for the years that he's provided to this town. And it's greatly appreciated. At this point, we start a new chapter. We're going to appoint an interim chief with an incredible resume. And I just feel so fortunate that you allowed us to come and help us during this transition. And as we work through the process that will come, we'll keep the public and the department informed. And the process is going to be thorough so that, one, we serve the public, but also these fine people who serve us every day, they know that we're going to try to find the best to go to the next level. And we cannot tell you, the entire board and the town, that we thank you every day for what you do for us from the bottom of our hearts. At this time,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Robert Demora as interim police chief for the town of Townsend.
second and moved, all in favor?
Aye. And Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve, sign, and release the employment contract with Robert Demora.
Second and moved, all in favor?
Aye.
This time we're going to execute the contract.
We have Kathy up to swear him in.
All right. Is there any way we could get the clerk to come up to swear him in now? Or what do you think about that?
You can't, too many?
Sorry for that, folks. We just...
Better planning.
At this time, could the chief come right up here and have a seat with us? And we're just waiting to actually officially swear him in, folks. Well, wait, Chief, could you just give us a quick overview of your last couple assignments, please? It'll just be quick.
We don't have enough time.
That's true. And that's why we're so fortunate.
No, I've been fortunate. I'm fortunate to be here tonight. I think I've been fortunate in my career of, at least 30 years, probably better than 40. Little history of my career, so everybody can appreciate. I started back in 1977 for the Department of Corrections. And fortunately for me, I lived in Lowell, so when I graduated from the academy that was held in Framingham, I figured, I'll get a job in Concord, because it's right there. Disappointingly, I found out the week before we graduated, everyone that went to Walpole, 20 guys from the prior class, they all quit. It was violent. It was during the riots down there. And I ended up down in Walpole for just about a year, which felt like probably 20 years of my life. But what an experience. So I would never change it. I then went to Hampton Beach, one of the best jobs in my life. I wish I stayed there. But I met my wife there for 32 years. And from there I went to Hudson, New Hampshire. Police officer for about 5 years there, and I always had that feeling to go home to Lowell, which I did. And I started in Lowell, actually. I started in Lowell as an auxiliary police officer in '71, and I had that, I won't call it a rank, but that position until I became a full-time police officer in Lowell in 1985. And I stayed in Lowell 1985 to 2008, when I successfully was appointed as the police chief in Fitchburg. I stayed there roughly 6 years, and when I left, coincidentally, they needed an interim chief in Shirley. And fortunately, the town administrator knew I had just left my position in Fitchburg, asked me to come along until they went through the process also to hire a police chief, which I did, and took part of and was involved in a lot of things that happen there. But that's my career in a nutshell, and I like it. As you can probably tell, this is my life. I could not just retire. It wasn't in the cards. I was hoping it's in the cards, but it just wasn't in the cards to sit at home and play bridge at night with somebody that I don't know, and all those things. Because I love this job. I love the, when Maples thought about the broken window theory and Bratton picked it up, best thing that ever happened to police. Because we talked about little simple things like quality of life issues where we as cops never even thought about, because we're going to arrest a guy for murder all the time or something serious we were taking care of. Little did we know was the little things that we should have taken care of, and when you do, the arrest takes care of itself. So I think, and I'm a complete supporter of that CompStat period. I started a CompStat in Fitchburg, which is still ongoing there, which I believe in, because forget about what the content of CompStat is, it brings us together, the administration of the police department. So I'll probably do that some way, shape, or form in the department, just so I can meet with you. So we can meet as the supervisors of the police department to meet and talk about strategies and how do we move forward. So, like I said, I love the job. I'm passionate, and I thank you for welcoming me here. I'm taken back by the amount of officers here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's credit to them. At this time, Madam Clerk, will we administer the oath?
No.
If you want to step right up in front of the desk here, Chief, please. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robert Demara,
Thank you. Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
all
the duties incumbent on me
the duties incumbent on me
as interim police chief for the town of Townsend,
as interim police chief for the town of Townsend,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution
of the Constitution
and the laws of this Commonwealth.
and the laws of the Commonwealth.
This I do under the pains and penalties of perjury.
This I do under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
If it's all right, Chief, as before, I want to recognize all those here that service in every capacity, whether it's officers, telecommunicators, or support staff. Our town is a better place to live because of you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But one person I'd like to recognize right now, because we're in transition from where we were to where we will be, and I think it's a bright future for the Townsend policemen. I'd like to recognize the executive officer, Lieutenant Mark Giannicotti, who's making this transition. Could you stand up, Lieutenant, please, and be recognized? I want to recognize that he's done every single thing to help the board make this transition, and I think the time that you're spending with the chief here is going to assist us and whoever we pick to take this town forward. So I'm looking forward to you being a key part of this management of this team, and I thank you and all the people who serve with you for your service. Thank you. It actually would be appropriate if you people want to stay with us, or you can leave now. I'm pretty boring, my wife tells me, but it's up. If we want to take a minute to break, you can stay, or you can exit out, and it's up to you folks, whatever you like to do. Thank you again.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Sir, Sergeant, thank you.
Sure.
Mark.
Thank you.
Lieutenant, thanks. That's some of the nice things of the job, huh?
Yes, it is.
And I credit all of them for displaying such care for our town. All right. So at this time, we're going to move to 2.2, and can I invite Fire Chief Mark Boynton to come up and talk to us, please?
Thank you. Appreciate your time. So, a couple weeks ago, we discussed ambulance write-offs and an ambulance or a hardship policy. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but we decided to deny one request. We still have another request outstanding. We wanted to adopt a policy, or at least consider adopting a policy. So I believe you have, hopefully you have, a draft hardship policy.
Yeah.
I received that from Coastal, our billing company. It's pretty standard that several other communities use. Inserted Townsend Fire and EMS where appropriate. And there's a form that goes along with it, or an application that goes along with it, that would be submitted to us in the case of somebody requesting hardship. And I guess that would be my recommendation, that you consider adopting that policy.
Chief, the policy's great, it's fine. The only question I had was, it appears that the Board of Selectmen are the ones that are waiving for the hardship. Is that something you'd want under your authority as the fire chief? Because the Board of Selectmen will ultimately be writing that amount off in their quarterly. Because I know we had kind of discussed that before, and I'm not sure if this policy relates to the weak chief or the strong chief, but I personally wouldn't have a problem with you having that authority.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me either. I think I would defer to Andy,
see what
who's
he
not
thinks.
here, but I was under the impression that it was within the board's, as the executors of the town, to, if you want to delegate it to me, that's fine, but
That's what I'm just asking
the way
you, what are
it's
you
written,
comfortable with? If you'd rather have it come
makes no
here,
difference.
that's fine.
it makes no difference. It's something that hopefully we're only going to do once every couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, just so it turns out we got back-to-back ones, but
But now we have a policy in our plan.
yeah,
I
and now we'll have
appreciate
a policy.
I appreciate that. But the only reason I was suggesting having you with that authority is it avoids any public type embarrassment of it being a public record for a hardship.
Understood. Good idea.
And the other thing is, I think we have a tremendous working relationship with the chief here, is that if you ever get in a position where you need guidance, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay? So that.
We'll ask Andy what his thoughts are when he comes back, but other than that, it's absolutely fine with me. I just didn't know if it'd be worth it to interject the fire chief with Board of Selectmen, because we are going to take the vote to write off whatever you've waived, ultimately.
Ultimately, in the end, the
Yeah.
write-offs for the entire year or 2 year, however many years,
Yeah, exactly.
which won't just be hardships, it'll be,
The whole entire amount.
right, people
Which that would be in it.
deceased or didn't pay for whatever reason. Okay. Yeah, that's
That's
whichever
what
way
I'll
you
ask
want
him when he
to go.
gets back in, if you want to.
Can we jump back to one thing while we're waiting, or not? Would that be enough?
We did have one other.
Okay, why don't we do that?
What was the other one? Let me look at the agenda. I had one other article.
Agreements for backup paramedic intercept services with the towns of Groton and Lunenburg. Chief.
Yep. So that's kind of housekeeping, unless you had questions. We've already renewed Pepperell, which ones do we have? Groton and Lunenburg, correct?
Yeah.
So Pepperell and Ashby have already been done. The update essentially is page 2, section 2, the billing. It used to say that if they got paid, they being the other community, then we would get paid. That's been removed to say that basically we now give them 90 days to pay us.
It's just a flat fee, which,
It's a flat fee.
Excellent.
at least we know for budgeting purposes, basically.
Right, and it's, in my opinion, it wasn't fair that we would provide a service to another community and on the burden of the taxpayers of Townsend and potentially not get paid for it, so that's where we're getting paid for.
Same feeling. Andy, now that you're back, did you have a chance to review the draft policy that the chief had submitted to us for the hardship?
Yeah, I didn't really have any issues with it.
Yeah, we were just wondering what your thoughts are on giving the strong chief the authority to do that to avoid any public embarrassment or anything for somebody that's applying for the hardship waiver.
I think that's a good idea. I think statutorily that you can argue that he has that authority anyways. I think if the board formalizes that in the manner of vote, it keeps it from having to be publicized and, as you say, the public embarrassment.
Yeah, and ultimately we write off the vote in the end, so
Yes.
the amount. So I support the policy if we want to just change out the Board of Selectmen approval with the fire chief approval and make the changes to the...
So would you like to approve
the
it as
form.
amended? And then I can just get...
It's fine. Do you want us
sign it
to
out
just do it
after?
as a... Yeah, we could do that. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the draft policy for EMS ambulance billing hardship and to amend it to reflect the fire chief with the authority to waive any hardship and to sign it outside of a meeting.
Second, motion's been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye. Will that work, Andy?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, then, once that's signed, I will go ahead and take care of the outstanding hardship that we have.
Okay.
Okay? So that
Thank you for
can-
getting
that
back
can
to
be-
us so
that can come
fast.
off the board.
Nice piece of work, as always.
And we have something on file for the future.
Yes. Intercept agreements, all set?
Yeah, I have no problems with it, except, I think I sent you an email, but I might not have. I've been so
You
busy
did
lately.
about HIPAA.
The HIPAA agreements, have we updated them?
We have not. I haven't been able to find them. I haven't looked over here. I haven't bugged Jody for them yet. I've never heard of such an agreement, not that they don't exist, but I've just never had any experience dealing with that, because I know it is a law that we have to follow, so
Yeah.
if we formalize it through an agreement,
Yeah, we have
That's great.
agreements on file with these towns, so it'd just be a matter of updating them, but I think that's important, because I know we had that conversation a little while back, didn't we, Andy, about updating those agreements?
Oh, there was a conversation about the HIPAA policy.
Yeah.
Correct.
so I'll have to get back to you on that, because I haven't found them.
Okay.
That's fine. And we just get Andy, and we'll get you on the agenda.
Yeah,
Okay.
and to the best of my knowledge, the laws haven't changed, so
And if I
We'll
remember
just check to make
correctly,
sure that they're
Chief,
all
I
set.
think you signed them anyway, but I could be wrong. It would be on the old policy, so it might not be something you have to come back to us for, but I want to make sure those are all updated anyway. So, Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve the agreements for backup paramedic intercept services with the town of Groton, the town of Lunenburg, and the town of Pepperell, right?
it's just Lunenburg and Groton.
It's just
Pepperell's
Lunenburg.
already done.
Okay, I was wondering why I only had two. I thought you had said Pepperell. So I'm sorry, to amend that to be the town of Groton and the town of Lunenburg.
Second, motion's been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chief, as always.
Thank you.
Do we want to go back and approve 1.7? We sort of got our order when we have
Oh,
the
sure,
chief.
yeah, absolutely.
The Lunenburg agreement.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of August 18th, 2015.
Second, motion's moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 1 second, we're just going to sign these documents, folks. Thank you, Carolyn. Did you have updates to finish?
Yeah, I read the announcement, but there was only a few things I was going to bring up tonight, Gordon. We've been meeting so much, I don't have too many.
Okay.
The Cemetery and Parks and Facilities Management and Library Senior Center, the working group that we had discussed, I actually had an email show. Are you available for October 1st?
What day of the week is that?
It's on Thursday.
During the day?
Yeah.
I will make myself available.
Okay,
for it.
because that's what they're tentatively scheduling, and I said I'd check and see if you were,
Okay.
you want to get in touch with Roger or Mark, whoever's setting that up.
Okay, and do you know what time of day that is?
When I was at the
Why don't I
Cemetery
call
and Parks meeting...
I see Roger here, I'll...
Oh, yeah, 1 o'clock?
Thanks, Roger, I appreciate that. Looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, I attended the Cemetery and Parks meeting last night, and we had kind of discussed that last night. And then the only other thing that I wanted to bring up is maybe on the next meeting we could put on there to discuss about scheduling department head meetings and employee meetings and those kinds of things.
Sure. Maybe once we take care of the people's business, we need to work on the schedule,
Okay.
and we can all address that. But
All right.
Try to take care of everyone's businesses first. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Just remind me, because I'm capable of forgetting.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
The only thing I have updates is I want to commend everybody who's been involved with the annex, making the situation over there for a rec center and the kids. It's awesome. The water department came through and they helped us with the jackhammer, so now that's all taken down, and a couple of local business people are going to actually come in and donate all the dirt and equipment, so it's such a great cooperation between our town employees and local citizens donating time. When I was over here last week, they were taking down the wooden sections, and there was a young gentleman who was an Eagle Scout there with his dad. And Jesus, those are the parts of the job I actually enjoy. And he was stacking it, and he's going to make the quality of life of some person in this town so much better to have mobility in another house. So that's the stuff that I enjoy. So
Yeah.
to
I was
that Eagle
thrilled we
Scout,
could repurpose that wood,
absolutely.
yeah.
So that was good. Okay, and then we'll move on to is Deb here? Hi, Deb. Want to come up and join us, please? We're going to have a update from the treasurer collector. Thank you for coming here today. We appreciate it
No problem.
very much. Andy?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the updates were. The only thing that I'm aware is the cash and where we are in terms of the year end. But I don't know, Carolyn, if
Yeah, that was the update, how we're progressing with that, and also how we're progressing with those employees. I know we received a few emails about with the voluntary comp, how that's working out,
Okay. Well, as far as cash goes, the bank statements are balanced. Everything's been entered into Quicken, and it balances the bank statements, all
Yeah.
the transactions. It's just getting the VADAR software to balance to Quicken, because multiple people enter into the VADAR software, whether it's the assistant that's posting the receipts, or, the treasurer turnovers, and there can be typos or some little thing. So it's just a question of getting everything in sync, so that when it's totally turned over to the accountant, she has good numbers that are in balance, and it has to be perfect. It has to be right down to the penny. So she's starting to receive some of the information now, and it's moving along, and once we got past that April where things were done differently, not wrong, but differently than I'm used to, things go a little faster.
So where are we in process of reconciling our free cash and ambulance accounts and all that for last year? You just said April's done, so you...
Well, April's, for the most part, done, and once I start printing out May, the girls can start looking at both reports, comparing them, and they should balance out. If not, sometimes we have to do a little research in the background to find out, why something happened. They might be missing a bounce check or something, So it should go a lot quicker than April did.
So how long of a time frame do you think it'll be before you'll have May and June's caught up so that we can close our year end?
I was hoping it would be done by now, but obviously during the daytime, other things come up during the day that take priority. Besides our regular things like collecting taxes, payroll, payables, it's very time consuming on those issues. But then we've been in contact with the retirement board on different employees that over the years have paid in the incorrect amount of retirement withholding. They've either overpaid or underpaid. And so they've been analyzing their records going back a year or two, and they're going to be making adjustments. So it's like every time they call and they have a employee they want us to look at, we have to stop, research it, get them their answer. Because in some cases we've got people who are retiring and they need the information now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, to go back to the other thing, I just, we're like, I know we've talked before, but, we're talking about the fall town meeting. We're talking about different appropriations, and, we're already almost at the end, middle of September, and we don't have any idea what our year-end close is for last fiscal year, or what our estimated free cash is, and I just worry that so far, we haven't even started on this fiscal year, so you know what I mean? So I was kind of hoping we could have some type of time frame where we could be sure that we would know when our year end would be able to close, because the accountant has a lot of work once you get done with yours. So she's kind of sitting there waiting
No, we're
too,
working together on it, and I'm in tune to what she needs. And, if need be, Susan used to work in her office. She could even borrow Susan to help with some things.
Yeah, sharing services is great, and Susan jumped up there and helped when she was on vacation.
Right.
It was, I recognize.
Yeah, so we've been working together. We're in touch with each other and so on.
All right. So you just, no time frame, then you're just going to
I
try?
hate to give you a date, it is a priority,
Okay.
but we have other priorities like just getting payroll out. It has to get out. And there's more to it than just submitting the payroll to the treasurer collector's office. I just got the files back tonight. Now I have to do up reports and all of that. There's more to it than just data entry.
Oh, yeah, I understand. And Susan usually should be taking care of the data entry.
Well,
She does the payroll, or is Rebecca now?
She just, Susan does the data entry on the wages and makes some changes. And I'd like to have her doing more with the payroll. And so it's a training issue. She's only been there since February. And so even with the BADAR, there's a training issue that I've been working with them to show them how to do more things. There's reports they didn't know were there, and how to get the best out of the programs.
Okay, I just, if we could make it a priority to get the cash,
Oh, it
ambulance
is
and
a
water and
priority.
everything reconciled, because, like I said, we're in the middle of September, and we have no idea for any future planning. It's very hard to have any discussions.
Well, at the same time, we are working on collecting back taxes, which hopefully will someday resolve the issue of using free cash in the current year to balance the budget.
Yeah.
I'm going to, 1 minute, Cindy. Just because I forget things. First of all, thank you for coming. And I think that when we communicate like this, at least we all know where we're at and know we work together. I think that's just a better way to do it. So thank you for coming up. I have an idea for Carolyn, Deb, and Andy's input here. I saw an email that was CC'd to me from one of the employees that you're working with, and I appreciate that. I see that there's conversation going on, and that gets people. But I saw 2 names, and one was from Great Western and another name. And I was wondering if this might be appropriate time, because I know I used to be part of the FERCON for 30 years, is that as part of the contract, they need to come out so many times. I was wondering if this might be an appropriate time for them to come out and sit down one-on-one with these poison, just so they feel that there's an interaction at some point, and I just want your feelings on that.
Well, there's 2 issues going on. Great West did give us a different rep,
Right.
and hopefully he will be out sooner than later to meet with the people about their investments.
All right.
And I was hoping Great West could come up with some solution to resolve a couple issues that we do have.
All right.
And so far, they haven't come up with a
Okay.
solution.
You know what? So I think at this point, I'm looking now to Andy and Carolyn. What can we do to motivate them to come out here?
I'm open to suggestions.
Can we have the board request that you contact them, Andy?
I can reach out to them. We don't have a lot of leverage over them because we don't pick them.
All right, but the treasurer does.
No,
No, she doesn't.
part of the state smart plan, so it's really,
They were awarded the contract money
Right.
for the state.
Yeah.
I think as part of the contract, they
ING
have to
had
get
it
services
previously and
requested, I
others.
think.
Yeah, but they're mostly into the investments.
Right.
The rep I talked to, he had never seen this happen before, the issue that we're dealing with.
So I guess if it would be all right with you, Carolyn, then we ask Andy to contact them and see if we can, for your techniques, motivate them to come out. And then when we come back the next time, if you give us an update and any possible solutions, we go from there. Because I like to have you get support, because they know they get compensated for this, and I know part of the deal is that they have to provide consultation. So I'm trying to bring some people in to help you with this and to work through it. So
Yeah, well, the ones that are in question, they received it one way.
Yep, and so let
know,
them, but let them
and
come
so
in,
it's-
and at least a second party's gonna, and maybe help you a little bit. So Andy will thankfully do that, and then we'll see where that goes, okay? I'm just trying to assist the process, so thank you. All right, Andy, you have anything to add?
No. The only thing I'll add in terms of the cash reconciliation and the free cash, although we'd like to be further along, we'd always like to be further along, but we never, at this point, it's not delaying our free cash. We never have free cash at this point, so I'm hopeful that if we can get the cash issues resolved by the end of the month or in that time frame, we'll still have we'll still have plenty of time, I think, to get free cash in time for the December town meeting.
So, end of the month, just so I'm clear, is end of September?
That's what I'm hoping.
No, just so I get it.
And again, I don't want to place that as a firm deadline, because there are so many things that come up.
Goal.
But
Okay. Carol, do you have something?
Yeah, we won't know our free cash till it's certified by DOR and all that has to be accomplished, but for planning purposes and discussion purposes, we have some debt and some, from snow and ice that we have to think about, so it's very hard to have any discussions about anything going forward.
And we're all anxious to see what it is. Hopefully it's a favorable number.
I know you worked real hard on some prior tax collections, so...
And so did Beth Ann.
And Beth
Kate.
Ann did, too. I appreciate that.
Cindy King, thank you for waiting. I just always try to get this.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for
And,
your patience.
Andy was kind of going down the road of the question that I had is that what is the timeline that we're usually looking at? When I was looking at things as far as submitting to the state, we're usually around mid-October. From what I could see, I just want to, and I certainly appreciate the priority. I understand with special town meeting, and also that the treasurer has some other crises that have come up regarding the retirement. But I just want to verify, are we really on time with our traditional submissions?
I believe we will be.
Oh, okay.
if I could, Gordy?
Yep. I'll let Carol speak after that.
Our average for free cash for the last 5 years has been roughly mid-October. The earliest we did was September 22nd. We've done as late as the 31st of October. So
Carol?
we're not out of...
Well, that's filing for it, and I agree, but the accountant has a lot of work to do once you get done, to even get to that point to filing. So, we're at the middle of September, and she's going to get slammed when you get finished with your reconciliation process, and if there's any problems, that's going to delay it even further. So, to your point, Cindy, generally it's, by the middle of August we reconciled, and then the process begins for filing.
And I think that the accountant's working with that to get this, you're working closely, which hopefully that you would always see that.
And the DOR reports from both of us are technically due September 30th.
I know she's trying to do some background stuff, get the snow and ice reports in and those kind of things, so...
Good?
Yeah.
Good, Ann?
Yep.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
And the communication's greatly appreciated.
Okay,
So thank you.
anytime.
Thanks, Deb.
Okay, I'm going to move to 3.1, review and sign a proclamation recognizing Chief of Police Irving M. Marshall, Jr.
Would you like me to read it into the record, Mr. Chair?
If you wouldn't mind doing that, thank you.
Whereas Irving M. Marshall Jr. is a lifelong resident of Townsend, Mass., attending Townsend schools and graduating from North Middlesex High School in 1972. After graduating high school, he completed his EMT training and volunteered for the Townsend Ambulance Service, then run by the Townsend Police Department. At the same time, he joined and volunteered for the Townsend Police Auxiliary, where he received his initial police training. And whereas Irving M. Marshall Jr. graduated from Mount Wachusett Community College in 1977, earning an associate's degree in law enforcement, and became a full-time patrolman with the Townsend Police Department that same year. He attended the Massachusetts State Police Academy and graduated in December of 1978. In July of 1986, Chief Marshall was promoted to the rank of sergeant and was put in charge of investigative services for the department. November of 1999, Marshall was promoted to the rank of lieutenant, became acting chief of police in January of 2002, and permanent chief of police in July of that same year. May of 2005, Chief Marshall earned his Bachelor of Science degree in law enforcement from Western New England College. Besides his degree in law enforcement and academy training, Chief Marshall has well over 2,000 hours of training in the law enforcement field. He is the current chairman of the Standards Committee for Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council, a consortium of 62 police agencies in Middlesex and Essex counties. And whereas Irving M. Marshall Jr. has decided to retire from the Townsend Police Department and plans to remain active in the community, enjoy time spending with his wife, Janet, and his daughter and grandchildren, and whereas the town of Townsend will use a valuable employee and asset to the community who will be greatly missed. Now therefore, we the Selectmen of the town of Townsend, Middlesex County, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, United States of America, do hereby proclaim Friday, October 2nd as Irving M. Marshall Jr. Day in the town of Townsend, and urge all citizens of Townsend, together with their families and friends, to join us in congratulating Irving M. Marshall Jr. on his retirement from the Townsend Police Department.
Excellent.
So Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we sign the proclamation for Chief Marshal.
Second, motion moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Will you be presenting this to him at his retirement?
I will be, I will
Okay.
be, so, with privilege. Thank you, Andy. Moving on to 3.2, review and sign proclamation recognizing Donna Miller for receiving the W.E. May Endowment Award. Can I just say something for you?
Please.
Donna Miller is one of my favorite human beings in the world, and truly is, and only because I love her so much. I was in the dunk tank over here enjoying the warm weather and the water in the dunk tank, but it was a privilege for you, Donna, and I think she was the anonymous $20 donator to have the children dunk me, so you're a special person, Donna, so I don't mean too much personal business, but you touch my heart, so we're going to read that.
I concur. She's a fabulous person. So I'd like to read this into the record, Mr. Chair. Whereas Donna Miller necessitates the qualities deserving of the William E. May Endowment Award, which recognizes people who don't make the news but make the difference in their communities, businesses, and volunteer endeavors. People who quietly, without fanfare or recognition, and usually behind the scenes, use their time, talent, spirit, and enthusiasm to enrich the lives of others. And whereas Donna Miller has donated countless hours of her time and are considered by many to be irreplaceable, assisting organizations such as Little League, Girl Scouts, and the Fire Department Auxiliary. For years, her job was public service, running the dispatch center for fire and police out of her home. The new dispatch center was built at the police station. She served as past president for the Friends of the Townsend Seniors and chairperson for the last 10 years for St. John's Bazaar and continues to serve. Whereas Donna Miller exemplifies the intent of the award because of her genuine interest and commitment to the town of Townsend. She has worked to promote various organizations, activities, and programs to benefit and improve the lives of citizens of all ages throughout the community. And now therefore, we, Gordon Clark and Carolyn Smart, Selectmen of the town of Townsend, Middlesex County, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, United States of America, do hereby proclaim October 17, 2015 as Donna Miller Day in the town of Townsend and urge all citizens of Townsend, together with their families and friends, to join us in congratulating Donna Miller for her many years of service.
Proudly second. And move. All in favor?
Aye. Are you going to be attending that, Andy?
I don't know yet if I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'm sure William May will put us to work reading things.
Yes, yes. Carol, to give you a little break here, if you don't mind, on 3.3, Andy's been kind enough, he doesn't know it yet, to... I'm usually a fan of reading these things, but I'm going to let Andy do it. So thank you for your volunteer. 3.3 to read this proclamation, please.
Oh, you didn't even say it once.
I know. And for full disclosure, I'm afraid of this word, so Andy has graciously volunteered.
Good teamwork.
Whereas dysautonomia is a group of medical conditions that result in a malfunction of the autonomic nervous system, which is responsible for automatic bodily functions such as respiration, heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, temperature control, and more. And whereas some forms of dysautonomia are considered rare diseases such as multiple system atrophy and pure autonomic failure, whole other forms of dysautonomia are common, impacting millions of people in the United States and around the world, such as diabetic autonomic neuropathy, neurocardiogenic syncope, and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And whereas dysautonomia impacts people of any age, gender, race, or background, including many individuals living in Townsend, and whereas some forms of dysautonomia can result in death, causing tremendous pain and suffering for those impacted and their loved ones, and whereas increased awareness about dysautonomia will help patients get diagnosed and treated earlier, save lives, and foster support for individuals and families coping with dysautonomia in our community. And whereas Dysautonomia International, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that advocates on behalf of patients living with dysautonomia, encourages communities to celebrate Dysautonomia Awareness Month in October around the world. Whereas we seek to recognize the contributions of the professional medical community, patients and family members who are working to educate our citizenry about dysautonomia in Townsend. Now therefore, we, the Selectmen of the Town of Townsend, Middlesex County, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, United States of America, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2015 as Dysautonomia Awareness Month.
Thank you very much,
Do
Andy.
we need a motion to do that?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proclamation for Dysautonomia Month.
Second and moved, all in favor?
Aye.
I should have read that in advance and stricken the word a few times to make it easier on myself.
Dysautonomia.
Dysautonomia?
Dysautonomia.
Well, thank
Are
you
you
for
Kelly?
education.
Yeah.
Well,
Hi,
thank you
Kelly.
for that very much.
Yeah, we read
appreciate
your
you.
letter. That's something that you have to go through. We'd be happy to support that. Anything we can do for awareness purposes.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for making us aware.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it. When I came in tonight, I said, how do you pronounce that? I said, will you please read?
3.4.
Kelly, we'll send you this
Okay, great.
or email it to you, however you'd like to receive it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Either one.
And we'll post it here in the building.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
3.4, review posting for a committee to memorize the former girls' school at 458 Main Street. Andy?
So this came about from the West Townsend Fire EMS Building Committee. The chief mentioned this in a memo a few weeks ago, asking that a committee be created to come up with some way to memorialize the girls' school at 458 Main Street, which had a number of that building had a number of lives and uses over the years. The girls' school, the seminary, most recently the Legion. So I put together a description, a posting for the committee. We hadn't talked about, or the board hadn't talked about, how many members. So that would be something to discuss tonight, if you're ready to move forward with it tonight.
Carolyn?
I don't have an issue with it. I'd be up to your recommendation, Andy. I'm not sure if you've had any conversations with the building committee, what their thoughts were, but I don't know if we ever got into that specifically.
I haven't really talked about it at length with them. They thought that it was sort of outside the scope of what they're doing. You know, they're focused on building a new building there, but they thought that it was appropriate to show respect for the history of that building.
So what do you like, 3, 5, or 7?
I've learned that we need odd numbers in my short career.
Oh, yeah, always.
And compromise, I've also learned, is a good part of this job, so why don't we go with 5 in the middle? That's
Okay, sounds
Andy,
good
does
to
that
me.
sound fine to you?
I like 5.
Okay, 5's good. So, yeah, make a motion to approve the public notice of vacancy.
Second. Motion's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 3.5, review open meeting law complaint against the Board of Selectmen. Andy?
This is a different open meeting law complaint from the one that you discussed at the last meeting, but it has to do with the same issue, and the same selectmen meeting has to do with the August 11th meeting, at which an item was added to the agenda to appoint Mike Turgeon to the Conservation Commission. Again, has to do with the whole issue of the 48-hour notice and the addition of the item to the agenda. I think the response from the board will be essentially the same as the response that you approved at the last meeting. which was with a slight tweak, that in fact the board has already taken what it deems to be appropriate corrective action to add the item to the agenda again, have another discussion, and take a confirming vote of Mr. Turgeon's appointment. So if you're satisfied with that, I will revise the letter. I apologize I didn't bring it tonight, but I'll revise the letter, and if the board is comfortable, like the last one, if you want to move to sign it out of session, then we can send it off before the end of the week. We've got plenty of time. It could be kicked off to the next meeting if you wanted to see it and review it again as a board. I'll leave it up to you, though.
Carolyn?
Well, actually, we probably should read the form of response into the record, because we never did. We signed it outside of a meeting, and it was Andy had finalized it. And it's pretty much going to be similar responses, I agree, but there was a couple of things that I wanted to address in the new one. So
That's fine with me.
if that's okay?
Absolutely.
So this was on the previous open meeting law complaint, the complaint of Veronica Kell versus the Townsend Board of Selectmen, and it is on the same issue, but from a different complainant. On August 18, 2005, the Townsend Board of Selectmen received an open meeting law complaint filed by Veronica Kell. Ms. Kell alleges that the Board of Selectmen violated the law on August 11, 2015, with the appointment of Michael Turgeon to the Conservation Commission. The Board denies that it violated the open meeting law, but further notes that Mr. Turgeon's appointment was reconsidered at the Board's meeting of September 1, 2015, as detailed below. Ms. Kell points out that the filling of a vacancy on the Conservation Commission was not on the agenda that was posted 48 hours prior to the August 11th meeting. It appears that there was some confusion as to whether the appointment would be ready for action on that date. Members of the board were aware that the Conservation Commission had voted to recommend Mr. Turgeon to the Board of Selectmen, and there was mention of the upcoming item on the at the Selectmen's meeting, July 28, 2015. But the town administrator was advised by the conservation agent that the recommendation would be contingent on Mr. Turgeon verifying that his private employment would not create a conflict of interest, as repeated in the complaint. Having no confirmation from the Conservation Commission in this regard, the town administrator did not add the item to the agenda when it was posted on Friday, August 7th for the August 11th meeting. In addition, another selectman was advised by a Conservation Commissioner that the recommendation was not conditional and that the Commission was eager to get the seat filled. The Board of Selectmen Chairman, who has since resigned from the Board, contacted the Town Administrator on Monday, August 10th, and directed him to add Mr. Turgeon's proposed appointment to the agenda. The Board then deliberated the appointment and voted to appoint Mr. Turgeon to the Commission. The Board was not attempting to keep the public out of the discussion. At the time the agenda was required to be posted, August 7th, the Town Administrator and the Board Chairman were under the impression that they were waiting to hear that Mr. Turgeon had provided certain information to the Commission. When the Chairman was advised that the appointment could proceed, he then asked the Town Administrator to add it as a late and unanticipated agenda item. The Board hereby denies that it intentionally violated the open meeting law as alleged. Notwithstanding this, and in the interest of keeping the public informed and to address any perceived violations, the Board put the appointment of Mr. Turgeon on the September 1st, 2015 agenda, reviewed the recommendation from Conservation Commission, discussed his qualifications, and took another vote on whether to ratify his appointment. This allowed any interested member of the public to hear the Board's deliberation and vote. There are other statements made in Ms. Kell's complaint that should be addressed. Mr. Turgeon is not a party to any lawsuit against the Conservation Commission. He is privately employed as a wetlands consultant, and as such he would need to be aware of any limitations of the conflict of interest law. However, he is not barred by that law from serving on the Commission. It is every town officer or employee's personal responsibility to comply with Chapter 268A, and it is beyond the scope of this complaint in the open meeting law to insist that Mr. Turgeon obtain something from the State Ethics Commission, not the Attorney General as alleged. The draft September 1st, 2015 minutes, a copy of the complaint, and the Board of Selectmen's agenda for September 1st, 2015 are enclosed. And very truly yours, Gordon Clark, Chairman of the Townsend Board of Selectmen. And on the new complaint, it seems to be the same concern, although I think it should be noted that that Laura Dole was here in the September 1st meeting, was able to, and did speak.
She was right there.
Yeah, and did speak. about the appointment. But she also goes on to what action she'd like us to take. And she said, "I want the selectmen to adhere to the open meeting laws and to monitor Mr. Turgeon's participation in anything which relates to Karen Hill's lot on Votel Road, including discussions about changing any current practice which would affect her lot for possible violation of ethics rules." And I'd just like to make it clear, although I believe the last paragraph makes it clear, it's not our job to patrol anybody's ethics. I don't know if you want to make that stronger language in that last paragraph, Andy, or if you would even advise something like that, but...
I think a safer response would be something like, we believe that the remaining corrective actions are beyond the scope of the open meeting law complaint.
That would be perfect.
Thank you, Andy.
And that's similar to the last, what we included in the last.
Excellent.
But it'll address the ethics that she wants us to oversee. So, you want to review that or sign it outside of a meeting?
Whatever everyone's comfortable with.
We have 2 weeks,
We have,
right?
it's, I think it's 21 business days. It's a fairly long,
So we'll be meeting 2 Tuesdays from now, is that correct?
When did we receive
Yeah.
this?
within
9,
14
10.
business days, so I think we'd be okay if we pushed it off to the 29th.
So if you want to draft it, we'll sign it on the 29th. Would that work?
Works for me. How are you, Andy?
That works okay by me?
I think we're all in agreement?
Good.
Excellent, thank you both. So we now 3.6, review correspondence from Carolyn Sellers requesting the Board of Selectmen ask the Federal Energy Regulatory Committee, FERC, to look at all gas pipeline projects to identify the projects providing gas at the least economic and environmental cost. Karen, would you like to come up here and join us? If I could just say something before we start here, and this goes back to some of the blessings we have as certain citizens who always fight the fight for the other people, and you're one of those people. And when the Lieutenant Governor was out here last week, many people may not know that she took time to meet one-on-one with you here, and I was impressed by that. And I was impressed that you waited very respectfully and you had a very concise and accurate presentation to her. And Sheila Harrington was actually there too. So it's pretty good that when the average common people can actually talk to the Lieutenant Governor, she listens and she responded. And it was legit too. It wasn't just making us happy. And so to you and the Lieutenant Governor, that's government working. I was impressed by that. Were you too?
I was, as a citizen, you would hope that would be the way life is. You know, it isn't always. So all I can do is try and ask and see what happens. And I appreciate your opportunity to introduce me. And it was nice to hear Lieutenant Governor admit that, you know, the best thing to do is to, if we need any natural gas, to bring it on existing pipelines, not to build new pipelines. So that was good to hear.
Not to keep saying it, but every time we have this current administration, boy, they're supportive of these small towns. And she made that crystal clear, is that before it was all the big cities, and they're actually very committed to it. So
so that's what I'm asking you to do tonight, is I wrote, you know, this letter to FERC, which what it basically asks is there's like 4 or 5 different projects being proposed to bring natural gas into New England. If you add them all up, it's way more than we need. Even the most optimistic projections suggest. So rather than like looking at, FERC tends to look at each little project by itself, and everybody makes their own, you know, case for need. But there is a guideline at the federal level that says you can, when something like this happens, you can put all these projects together and look at them in one review. So you look at one need analysis, and then you can say, okay, let's take this piece of this pipeline and this piece, you know, find out the best way to make it work, the least environmental impact. So I wrote a letter to FERC asking for that. You know, as far as FERC, I'm just, you know, an average Joe, which we would hope would be a they would consider, but things mean more when it comes from elected officials like you. So what other towns have done in places like that where someone has submitted comments, they have said, we endorse these comments and we want you to take these seriously. These, we consider these our comments too. So I would request that the Board of Selectmen do that. And then I would also request that, if you're willing to do that, that you then also go the next step, and the same thing I'm doing, the people I've CC'd here, Representative Harrington, Lieutenant Governor Polito, Governor Baker, tell them, hey, support Townsend, support our small towns by supporting this effort. So it's not asking, it's not picking favorites, it's not saying no this, no that, it's saying, let's look at this.
It's the big picture.
It's a big picture. So I don't see how anybody could be opposed to it. But,
No, I had no problem with it at all. I thought it was a good idea to request it. I don't know whether we'll get anywhere with it. We can certainly try.
So
absolutely, and I thought it was well, did you have any comment at all?
No, I think it's good. I think it makes a lot of sense intellectually and practically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will carry some weight.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy to help if Andy's going to be writing a letter, help write draft a letter.
Yeah, that's fine. We can sign it at our next meeting.
I'll probably plagiarize.
You can. And then, the other important thing is really, I know, I've been talking to, Representative Songus and Senator Warren and Markey's offices, but it also means more when they hear the selectmen asking for this. So if you could also do the same thing, that would be really good.
It's similar to the Baker administration. Let's use our existing and look at the big picture. So it's consistent with everybody's stance.
This is one thing that, Republicans and Democrats can agree on, so we just have to, move forward with it. So.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate all the work you've done on it, too.
As usual, thank you for working with all of us. Now, I don't have to get in a dunk tank to support this.
No.
All right, so Carol or Andy, do we need a motion on this?
You're just going to draft it?
I'll draft it and put it on the next meeting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks.
Okay. So we're moving right along here. 4.1, review request of John Francis Hughes to be appointed to the West Townsend Reading Room Committee.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion, and I'm sure that Lois and Sharon will welcome the help over there. They've been doing it by themselves for a while. But thank you, John. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint John Francis Hughes to the West Townsend Reading Room Committee. I'm sorry, Andy, would it be effective today to the end of June?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, June of 16.
Yeah, effective September 15th, 2015 to June 30th, 2016.
Second, motion's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
4.2, review request of Fire EMS Chief Mark Boynton to appoint the following to the Fire EMS Department for terms from September 15th, 2015 to June 30th, 2016, and subject to successful completion of pre-employment physical, query check, and probation period.
And did you want me to do it all as one motion? It appears it's lined up that way. I don't have a problem with that.
I think it's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint the following to the Fire EMS Department for terms effective September 15th, 2015 to June 30th, 2016, and subject to successful completion of pre-employment physical, query check with a 6-month probationary period. Nicholas Newell as an on-call firefighter. Tabitha Costanzo, on-call and per diem EMT. Did I murder that name?
Costanzo, yeah.
Costanzo. Brian Harking, per diem paramedic. Robert Hayes, per diem paramedic. And Ashley Cotta, on-call and per diem EMT.
Second, motion's moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
5.1, review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants.
So I'm going to take this in two motions, Mr. Chair. The first one, I'd like to make a motion that we sign the bills payable warrant out of session.
Second, motion's been made and moved. All in favor?
Aye. And for full disclosure, because I'm an employee and Gordon's wife's an employee, we're going to invoke the rule of necessity to sign the payroll warrant. So I'd like to make a motion that we review and sign the payroll warrant out of session using the rule of necessity.
Second, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Just one thing here. For the folks out there, we're going to, in a minute, make a motion to go to executive session. But As we've been stressing to our employees, you may notice that there's been a change in how we're doing the meetings here, and our employees have been great coming up with different ways to do customer service. So we've been trying to do executive sessions early or late to make the meetings more customer-friendly, and I think it's working out good. So I thank Carolyn and Andy for the ideas, and at this time, 6.1, executive session pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel.
Just for procedurally, Andy, do you want me to go into both executive sessions in one vote and adjourn from executive session? There's no other business to come back to, so...
Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we enter into executive session at 7:20 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, and to enter executive session in Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, to discuss complaints or charges against individuals, and to adjourn directly from executive session.
Second, this requires a roll call vote, is that correct?
Yep. Carolyn Smart, aye.
Gordon Clark, aye. Folks, I guess at this point, just the parties that we need, is that correct? Which one are we handling first?
We're all done, Hartley.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
folks.
Hartley.
Thank you.